Philly. The thing is, age is more appropriate for
Welcome
you.
back to Recap IT. Today we are going to recap a 1981 sex comedy movie titled Private Lessons. Philly is a teen who is out of school for the summer, his billionaire father is away on business, and he has the mansion to himself, with the attractive Dutch maid Nicole to keep him company. It sounds like an ideal summer until Nicole begins to act weirdly familiar toward Philly, who is unsure how to react. Meanwhile, Lester appears to be planning something as well, which does not bode well for poor Philly. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now, without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Two friends are shown at the beginning of the film. Philly and Sherman are their names. Both of them are 15 years old. From afar, they're both secretly watching their seniors party. Joyce, Sherman's sister, is also at the party, and Joyce's boyfriend throws her in the pool. She then goes to change her clothes in the bathroom. As a result, Philly and Sherman hide while Joyce changes her clothes. Their teacher, on the other hand, apprehends them. And he informs Philly. It's normal to be curious about such things in this day and age. And it is the teacher who informs him that he should be friends with a girl his own age, but Philly is more interested in women his own age. Philly's father is a successful businessman. That is why his house has so many servants. One day in Philadelphia, a new housemaid has been hired by his father. Mallow is the name of the character, which is far more attractive. Then the next day, Philly's father has to relocate for work. And he refers to his chauffeur as Lester. That he should look after Philadelphia. Lester, on the other hand, despises Philadelphia. Mallow arrives in Philly on the same day. And he begins to converse with him. Mallow then inquires of Philly about the housekeeper's nighttime activities, to which Philly responds, "Except for you, all of the maids here are elderly." As Mallow informs Philly that conversing with the rest of the maid would be a chore. "It is coming to talk to me in as much as it is coming to talk to me in as much as it is coming to talk to," and Philly examines Mallow's limbs. Mallow is aware of this. And he begins to tease Philly. As a result, Philly departs from there restless. Mallow then goes out to work with Lester. So, as soon as he leaves, Philly goes to his room and starts looking at his underwear. After that, we get to know each other. It's possible that Lester and Mallow are plotting something. Lester is looking for something. Before Philly's father returns, Philly must become intimate with Mallow. Mallow despised having to do this. Lester, on the other hand, blackmails Mallow about something. And he requests that he do so. Philly tries to see Mallow change clothes with his friend Sherman the same night. As a result, Mallow notices them. And then he switches off the light. That's why he can't see anything. This appears to be the case for a few days. And Philly begins to hover over Mallow. And he slowly starts getting closer to Mallow. The next day, Philly attempts to enter Mallow's room once more. So Mallow grabs her and asks him to come inside the room. Mallow tells him that if he wants to see her take off her clothes. So why didn't he tell earlier? Mallow asks Philly to close the door. After this, Mallow takes off all the clothes one by one in front of Philly. And then he strips down to his underwear. And seeing this makes Philly very happy. Mallow tells Philly after this, "You are free to touch me," but hearing this makes Philly very nervous. And it's all downhill from there. Mallow informs Philly the next day that "I'll be seeing you tonight." And Philly is on board as well. And all of this is revealed to Philly's friend Sherman. The same evening, Philly pays a visit to Mallow. Then he notices, in the bathtub, that Mallow occurs. Mallow then invites him to join her in the bathtub. Philly refuses at first. Mallow, on the other hand, persuades him. After that, Philly takes a bath. Mallow makes an attempt to seduce Philly. Philly, on the other hand, is jittery. And then he makes an excuse and flees the scene. Before leaving, Mallow makes a pit stop in Philadelphia. And she invites him to have an intimate relationship with her. The next day, Philly tells Sherman everything. Sherman also informs Philadelphia that Mallow is without a doubt a prostitute. That's why she so easily wants to be intimate with you. However, this does not sit well with Philly. Because Mallow has become a favorite of Philly's. Then Philly takes Mallow to a movie that night. Mallow also tries to seduce Philly during the film. Mallow kisses Philly all the way back while returning. And Lester is keeping an eye on everything. Now that they've returned home, they're going to be intimate. But first, Philly informs Mallow that he admires. He also wishes to marry her. Mallow informs Philadelphia that "We will never be able to marry, because there is a significant age difference between them." Philly is in a bad mood. He also has feelings. That Mallow isn't a fan of his. And it's from there that Philly flees, enraged. And it's something Philly tells his friend Sherman about. Sherman then scolds Philadelphia. That's why you told him about marriage before you got close, but Philly can't stay away from Mallow for long. The following day, Philly asks Mallow out on a date. As a result, Mallow agrees. Philly and Mallow go to a restaurant on the same night they get ready. Also, they flirt with one another. After that, he returns home. There are also intimate relationships. Mallow experiences something surprising while being intimate. She screams and trembles. Philly tries to wake him up, but he is terrified when Mallow does not wake up. She is afraid that Mallow is no longer alive. Because Lester had previously told him that Mallow has a heart condition. Thinking about this makes Philly very nervous. And then she goes to tell Lester. We'll find out as soon as he departs. That Mallow is pretending to be deafeningly deaf. He's still alive, by the way. Lester is brought in by Philadelphia. And Lester takes a look at it and says, that Mallow is no longer alive. And you were the one who put an end to it. Because there was no one else in the room except the two of you. Then Lester begins to call the cops. Then Philly speaks up, bringing him to a halt. That he does not do this and is willing to do anything in return. Now, Lester says, that Mallow's body must be disposed of. Then they both put Mallow's body in a large bag and put it in the freezer. So that his body does not become contaminated. After that, they both go to the garden and begin digging graves, after which they both take Mallow's body from the freezer. Which had become unduly burdensome. Says Lester. This is due to the freezer. Because the Mallow came out of the freezer when they were digging the grave, it was not in that bag. Mallow's body is buried by Lester and Philly. And then there's Philly, who sees the next day. Someone must have dug the grave. And Mallow's body is nowhere to be found. When Philly sees all of this, it becomes really tense. And then he goes to Lester and tells him about it. Lester, on the other hand, claims that he has no knowledge of the situation. After that, they receive a note. That Mallow's body has been removed. They must pay $10,000 if they want it back. Otherwise, the police will discover the body. Then Lester picks up the phone. Someone must have seen him last night when burying the body. We should hand over the cash to him. This note was not sent by anyone other than Lester. After that, Philly pays attention to Lester. And he takes $100,000 from his father's safe deposit box. And places it at the location specified by the blackmailer. Lester, on the other hand, arrives at his home with the money. Mallow is waiting for him there. We'll find out here. Nicole is the real name of that Mallow. That's why Nicole was paying attention to Lester. Nicole was not a native of this country. She had entered the country without permission. And Lester was well aware of this. Lester is informed by Nicole. They shouldn't take advantage of Philadelphia in this way. Lester, on the other hand, informs Nicole that if you don't pay attention to what I'm saying, I'll inform the authorities that you're an illegal immigrant who entered the country illegally. It's also illegal to have an affair with a 15-year-old boy. Nicole feels frightened by this. She doesn't say anything, either. After that, Lester tells Nicole to hide in his old hotel. Nicole, on the other hand, has fallen in love with Philadelphia. Nicole then travels to Philadelphia. Philly is astounded to discover he is still alive. Nicole, on the other hand, tells him everything. That she did everything at Lester's request. But now he's in Philadelphia. Hearing this, Philly informs them that they must withdraw the funds from Lester. Nicole, on the other hand, has no idea. Lester, where did you put that money? But they devise a scheme to extort money from Lester. Nicole then gets Philly's tennis coach, Jack, ready. He pretended to be a police officer and showed up at Philly's house. As a result, Jack is accepted for it. He goes to her house in a police uniform to inquire. Mallow has vanished without a trace. The officer then receives the information. Mallow has been killed by Lester. Lester's house has some of Mallow's clothes as well. Nicole had kept it here himself. When Lester sees all of this, he becomes extremely nervous. And informs us that Mallow is still alive. Mallow is staying in a hotel. Lester then informs the officer. Nicole is the real name of that Mallow. As a result, the officer informs him. That's if you don't get Nicole here alive in 2 hours. In the case of Nicole's murder, I will arrest you. Lester then proceeds to the hotel. But he finds out where he was told to keep Nicole. Nicole is no longer with us. He's out of options now. So he devises a scheme to flee the city by stealing money. Lester begins his journey to the airport. Philly, on the other hand, desire the same thing. That was his plan all along. They also track Lester's car all the way to the airport. Lester arrives at the airport, only to discover Philly's father. "I just returned today." Lester, on the other hand, had completely forgotten about it. Then Nicole and Jack arrive from Philadelphia. Lester is unable to flee as a result of this. The money bag is then taken from Lester's hands by Philly. And Philly keeps the letter a secret from his father. Lester, in turn, keeps this information hidden. And with that, the film comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.